Welcome everyone to the CEWT Podcast. Thank you all for joining. My name is Gary Salazar. I'm the Director for Continuing Education and Workforce Training. We pronounce that CEWT or CEWT. Here at Idaho State University, we're part of the College of Technology. We provide the non-credit classes to our community, some workforce training, apprenticeship training, and of the like. Joining us today as part of our outreach efforts will be a real treat for us. We're having some international students who are going to school here at Idaho State University, and they are Dera Ofokaja and Jennifer Ibiabuchi, and they're chuckling because I'm nowhere close. I'm going to call them Dera and Jennifer. Okay, and so we'll be talking to them a little bit about their lives here as international students, and hopefully we'll all gain some insights from that. Our format, as usual, is conversational. We'll focus on our guests and see where the conversation takes us. However, at the end of 20 minutes, and that began the moment we said welcome, we're going to call a quiz, and we'll wrap it all up at that point, no matter where we are. So thank you all for joining us. Dera, and Jennifer, thank you both for coming and being a part of the CEWT Podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this is great. You are our first international student, so I'm really looking forward to hearing about life as an international student. Maybe we can begin by having you each say a little bit about yourselves, a little bit about, you both came from Nigeria. Mm-hmm. You had not the same villages, but a little bit about how you came here to Idaho State University, and we'll go from there. So why don't we start with Jennifer?
Okay, so, my name is Jennifer. I'm Nigerian. I came to ISU in 2016, January. It's been good. I actually am an econ student and I'm a senior, so fingers crossed I'm graduating next year. But it's been good so far, and people here are nice, so.
All right, well, thank you very much. All right, Dana, over to you. And you came here when?
I came in 2016, but the fall though, and I'm a music major. I'm going to be a junior this fall, so 2 more years.
All right.
Yeah. I was former Miss Africa Idaho 2017. I used to be an FYT mentor here at ISU, and I'm going to be an ambassador this year, so I'm excited for.
Oh my.
Yeah, a lot.
That is great. That is awesome. And I have a couple of questions I wanted to ask you, but you prompted one right away. I mean, what do you mean when you say you're going to be an ambassador? What is that?
So the ISU ambassadorship program is kind of like representation for ISU. So we have student ambassadors that go to high schools and outreach and just tell people about ISU. We give tours. Mm-hmm. We basically sell ISU and make sure that people get to see the good about ISU, get to see what ISU has to offer, because ISU offers a lot, and a lot of people don't know all the resources that are out there, mm-hmm. And support, and there is a lot. So that's basically what we do.
That's awesome. So is that part of the International Students Office?
No.
What is it part of?
It's the ambassadorship office.
That is the regular part of ISU. So yes. You're going into the community talking to high school students. I recall when I got here, mm-hmm. And I was looking for this job, that I had a student who was taking me around and showing me different offices and places too. I'm assuming that would be something very similar.
Yeah, something similar.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's a general part of ISU, because even non-international students are also ambassadors as well.
I think they've had the program for a very long time now, and it's something that's grown over the years. So it's fun to be joining the team. I'm really excited.
That is excellent. So music major and an economics major, mm-hmm. and junior and going into senior, mm-hmm. graduating. How's that looking for the two of you? I mean, are you still excited about that? Was that your first major when you came here? You wanted to get into music? Same for economics?
Yeah.
All right, so you're both excited about that field?
Yeah.
And then once graduation happens for both of you, what's the direction that life's going to go for you then? What are you seeing?
Well, for me, I've always wanted to do a PhD because I want to teach at some point. So this is not... This is new, but I've had an interest in political science the past few semesters. So I'm going for a minor there. So I'm applying to combine PhD degrees, so I can get a PhD and a JD at the same time. But then it's always good to keep your options open. So I'm also going to apply to MBA programs, masters in econ programs, and just keep my options open.
Very good, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Dara, what about you? What are you seeing?
I plan on going to grad school after this, and my plans for the future are to compose and perform and travel. So.
Oh my
The
goodness.
fun life, the good stuff.
Are you going to be a rock musician?
No. So I'm very into jazz, and I'm doing classical here. So it's been like a merging of both worlds.
Oh, I love jazz.
Very interesting.
Okay, so who's your favorite? Do you have a couple of favorite players out there doing jazz right now?
Ella Fitz right now.
Right now, yes.
I talk about Maro. She's like a new upcoming musician. She graduated from Berkeley. She kind of does like a fusion. She's Portuguese, so she like fuses like jazz music with her own like natural music and like cultural music. And
So is this singing? Is that what we're talking
singing,
about?
Yeah, on the vocal.
Oh my gosh, vocals. That is great.
Don't ask me to sing today though. I have a sore throat. And that will not be fair. It will not be a good representation of the music program. Not today.
There we go. We got it now. We have her on tape.
No.
We need someone to sing an intro.
That is awesome. We're going to have a musician, well, maybe a couple of musicians later on. So you'll be our first up and coming musician, and that'll help set that stage as well. Are you aware, is there any kind of a jazz culture here within our region?
So in my department, we do have a jazz studies, but we don't have like a major in jazz. And what we've been doing basically is faculty and a couple of students is trying to build that culture. So right now, like I'm part of a band that like plays in a couple of places. We play for ISU functions, and we just like get people hyped up about jazz. That's basically what we've been doing. I'm also part of a club that's the ISU Jazz Jam. And on campus, once in a while, like we hold like little gigs and like play standards and invite people over,
cool.
you know. So yeah.
That's so cool. I used to live in Hawaii, and I remember one night I left and I went to a party of a friend, and I was out in town, and the party was really good, but it died, and so I went downtown to a little restaurant called Moose McGillicuddy's. That one closed, and I was still ready to go. And across the street, there's this weird-looking place, and these strange sounds were coming out of it. And I walked across, and there were people coming in all hours of the morning. They just come on in, they bring in an instrument, they sit down, and they just start joining whoever's playing up there, pick up jazz. It was incredibly nice.
Oh.
What a cool thing.
Pick up jazz.
Yes.
Oh, I've heard of that. I follow them on Instagram.
Oh.
Stalk their page.
Oh. Stalking, okay.
We're actually kind of doing something, well, not that similar, but so the department is like hosting, it's like ISU Jazz Jam at the Yellowstone restaurant, and we do that like pretty much every Thursday. So we have like a bunch of students go up there and play a set, and after like an hour, we open up the set to like whoever has an instrument or whoever wants to come up and like improvise or join the band, you know. So that's part of what we're trying to push to.
That's very, very nice. And that's good for the downtown area. We had on a guest here at a previous podcast who was talking about how we can revitalize the downtown area. And Yellowstone was another podcast we had.
Yeah.
So your joining that really represents ISU very, very well. So thanks. I'm going to come on out there and watch that one night. That's great. All right. So what kind of jazz sessions does the economics department hold?
Micro theory jazz sessions.
Micro theory jazz sessions. Now you want to go ahead and teach, is what you said.
Yes.
So eventually you want to get your degree and you want to get into teaching position.
Yes.
Now, Jennifer, can I ask, is that what you want to do and stay here in the United States, or you think about taking that back to Nigeria?
Well, for now, the closest to my future is just going to school and getting the degree. But after that, it's like in Africa, we have an issue where, you know, there's not enough people that are educated in these things. So, like, I would like to actually make a difference, you know, go back, because I've come here I've gotten a good education, because ISU, like, it's really good value for your money, you know, and you get to be as good as the rest of the people out there. So at some point, yes, I want to go back, you know, try to get our financial system straight as much as I can. So that's on the list.
That's a great ambition.
Yeah.
So good luck on that.
Thank you.
know, you've got a good progression going ahead of you. And anytime you can bring something back to a hometown, that always seems to be a wonderful thing to be able to do.
Yeah.
Music, you know, a business orientation, helping out the community. That's terrific. Dera, are you thinking about heading back to Nigeria at some point?
Yeah, one of my plans in the future is to open up a music school
Oh,
and kind of try to give back all that I've gotten. I've been fortunate to get here and push the music culture back home and people's mindsets on like music degrees and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really, because when I saw her and she said, I'm Nigerian and I'm studying music, I was so surprised.
Yeah, because you don't have a lot of.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of.
There's not a lot of Nigerians or Africans that actually go to school to chase something they're passionate about, like she's doing. So if it's music or the arts, so it's good that she's, you know, going for it to try to encourage young people to, you know, if you're passionate about music, you know, go chase it. If you're passionate about arts, go chase it.
that's great. That's a great sentiment for anybody who's got a dream out there, something you want to go do. You know, go learn it as much as you can. Go experience it, and then go try it. Here's a living example of two young ladies who are, you know, chasing an idea, and they're going to be very, very successful in that. It's obvious in both of you. Let's talk a little bit about what you've learned, though, coming across from a culture that's quite different from the United States. You know, you've probably had to learn some new things, grow into some new things, and make some adaptations. Can you tell us what things have been challenging and what things have been really, really cool for you to discover? When you came across Jennifer, what has been challenging for you?
There's been a lot of things, but like the things that are in my mind right now is, for instance, back home, people are not as filtered with when they say things. Like here, maybe it's the political climate, I don't know, but here you have to be careful. You know, you just don't make jokes without thinking. You have to, you know, screen it through so you make sure you're not offending anybody. And back home is like, well, you say whatever you want, I guess. And then another thing is, there's this thing we do back home. If you hit someone, you push someone by mistake, you say, oh, I'm sorry. Or if something bad happens to someone, you say, I'm sorry. But here, it's like, people tell you, oh, no, it's not your fault. You know, don't apologize and things. So I've learned to say sorry a lot less than I used to when I was back home. That was one thing. Like, I used to say sorry a lot. I still do, but I'm tapering it little by little because everybody says it's not your fault, you know, don't apologize. So, yeah.
I actually had a situation. So I had the same experience. Like back home, if someone sneezes or something bad happens to someone, you empathize. So you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, even if it's not your fault. And then I was at work one day. Well, I don't think it was at work. I don't know where I was. I was somewhere one day. And then I think someone made a mistake and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And she was like, oh, no, that's fine. And then something else happened and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And she was like, it's not your fault. And then something else happened again and I said sorry and she was like, stop saying sorry. I'm not laughing at you. Like, I empathize. I you know, yeah. So that's something I've also experienced.
Yeah.
Like,
That's interesting. I've never thought about it that way, but we do. I mean, that's a good representation. I see that as well.
Yeah.
So overcoming or learning new cultural differences. One thing that happened when I went to Korea, I was sitting on the subway, and while I'm on the subway, there were some local folks who come on, and others get off, and I remember this young man comes and sits on one side, and this older lady sits on my other side, and the train's moving along, and pretty soon I feel this clunk, and one of them fell asleep, and they're laying on my shoulder, and then clunk, the other one's laying on my shoulder, and I'm looking at both of them like this. It was very unusual. It's not something we see or experience here. They have a different feeling of personal space, But once you look around, you see, hey, they're all doing it. That's part of the culture too. So you learn those things.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Has been anything that has upset you? I mean, something you go, well, I did not expect this. This is something that's tough for me. Has been anything like that?
I would say it's just, knowing, like knowledge. People, when I came here, I thought people would be a lot more knowledgeable. And this is not to bash anybody in any way, but I feel like, so there's some questions people ask you, did you give yourself that name if it's an English name? Or, oh, where did you learn how to speak English? And oftentimes these are people that have known you for quite some time. So, like, I would like people to maybe, just go and Google and, how do Nigerians know how to speak English? Something as simple as that. Like, I'm sure there are blog posts, because I'm pretty sure lots of international students face these questions. And at first it's okay, but, if you think somebody, would take out a minute to just check. But generally, people have been really nice. I guess maybe it's a small town charm or something, because I've heard horror stories. But in Pocatello, people are really nice. People say hi to you even though they don't know you. Like, if you're walking on the road, like, I think that's a really good way to be welcoming to people. So.
That is nice. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Dara, what about you? Has anything stood out in your mind? Maybe something you go, hey, I wish we wouldn't do that, or how could we change that? Anything like that?
Definitely the English thing.
Definitely the English.
Like,
You've experienced that too.
Yeah, like all the time. Oh, you speak really good English. Oh, wow. Oh. And I'm like, thank you. So, like, usually I don't say anything. Sometimes if I want to, like, if I have the time, I'm like, oh yeah, we actually do speak English back home. Like, it's a first language and everything. But we have, like, our tribal languages. So, like, that, for me, I don't see it as a bad thing. I see it as an educational opportunity.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I just, like, tell you, oh yeah, we actually, like, it's a British colony, so we speak English. And but it's not like something that I'm like, oh.
No, it'll never get to that.
What you're bringing up is very apparent to many people from different communities and cultures. I recall seeing that as well. I've done a lot of traveling. I grew up overseas. What you're saying is common. And I like how you've taken it. It's an opportunity to explain something to people.
Yeah.
And literally, we do have a level of ignorance because we are focused on things that are more important to us in many different ways. Just like if we were to go to another country, they would have things that they're focused on as well.
Exactly.
So it's an educational opportunity for all of us when we run into these things.
Yeah.
Very nicely done. I want to ask you a really important question here. Social media. Are you on social media?
Yes.
Are you do a lot of social media?
No, I'm not really active.
Are you in class on social media while we're
No,
talking?
I wish. For my age, I wish I was, but no. I have accounts. I just post once a year, so.
Once a year, you
yeah,
post.
on my birthday, thank you for wishing me good.
I'm sorry.
No, I just don't really enjoy social media as other people do. I think it's a really good outlet to share ideas and all, but I'm just not wired
to go that way.
Yeah.
As much. Okay. Dara, you're a little bit younger. What do you think? Is social media a big part of the music scene?
It is a big part of the music scene, and I try to push myself to, like, get out there. I'm not someone who posts a lot either, but, like, once in a while, like, if I have a gig, I'm trying to stay active because in the next few years, like, you're going to need social media to do anything.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, life is going towards. So everybody has to adapt or fall out. In some way, everybody has to, like, because before the internet wasn't there, and if your business wasn't on the internet, you didn't care. But now, if you don't have the internet, it's like, so that's where everything is, like, moving towards. So I am trying to be somewhat active, but it's not something that I do a lot.
That is very, very cool. If somebody wanted to reach out to either one of you and talk to you about, hey, I'm interested in coming, this is a podcast that will get shared. The opportunity is to go anywhere with that. But if somebody saw that and they wanted to reach out and talk to you personally, say, hey, I saw your podcast. Are you okay with that if somebody wanted to contact you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
How could they contact you? Just ISU international students or what?
Yes. So I have a Facebook account, so I will read messages.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's our timer. So why don't you finish that real quickly?
Okay, so my name is just Jennifer Ibiabuchi, and I'm on Facebook, so you can just message me. And then we also have a really active African Students Association on campus, and we have African Nights, we have Hakuna Matata. We usually have events like every semester, so that's a good way to.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you. Are you okay with
Thank
that?
you so much. Yeah.
All right. Well, our time is up, and thank you for Jennifer and Dera for both joining us here
Thank
on the
you.
CEWT podcast.
Thanks for having
This has been
us.
truly enlightening. If anybody out there has any questions, you learned how to get a hold of them. I hope you gained some insights into being an international student, economics, music scene. Everybody get out to the Yellowstone on Thursday nights and check that out. That sounds awesome. Okay, you can find us online at cetrain.isu.edu. I hope you'll take a look at some of our blogs and newsletters. Join us. And if you have any comments, please let us know. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on CEWT Talk.